In a world where loyalty is just another currency, and secrets can buy your silence or your freedom, one woman's cry for help will ignite a war no one saw coming. A maid, a widow, and a lawyer, 3 lives bound by one will, and one deadly secret. But here's the truth, in the billionaire's enclave, nothing is ever as it seems. Speech balloon. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, turn on notifications bell, and share this story with someone who loves drama, betrayal, and unexpected power. Because tonight, you're about to enter a world where love and greed wear the same face. Sometimes, the truth doesn't set you free, it sends you running for your life. In the middle of a stormy night, a trembling young maid runs through the city streets, soaked, terrified, clutching a brown envelope like it's her heartbeat. Her name is Ava Johnson, and inside that envelope, is something people would kill for. Behind her, headlights slice through the rain. Black SUVs. No license plates. She doesn't look back. She just runs. Ava worked in one of the grandest homes on the city's edge, the Sterling Mansion. Her boss, Eleanor Sterling, had it all: power, beauty, and secrets darker than her designer wardrobe. When Eleanor's billionaire husband, Victor Sterling, died mysteriously 2 weeks ago, whispers spread. But for the staff, it was just another tragedy among the wealthy. At least, until tonight. Earlier that day, while cleaning Victor's private study, Ava accidentally found a sealed envelope hidden beneath the false bottom of his desk drawer. Her curiosity, or maybe fate, got the better of her. She opened it. And what she saw inside made her entire body go cold. Bank transfers. Offshore accounts. Photos. And one document marked, Project Seraph, Confidential. A list of names. Including politicians, judges, and Eleanor Sterling. The widow wasn't grieving. She was silencing witnesses. By midnight, Ava's phone rang. Unknown number. She didn't answer. Then came the knock on her tiny apartment door. 3 sharp knocks. Followed by silence. She didn't wait to find out who it was. Now she's in the rain, barefoot, out of breath, her mind racing for safety. Then, out of nowhere, she hears the rumble. Deep, mechanical thunder. A convoy of motorcycles. The Iron Serpents. A notorious biker gang that ruled the city's underbelly, untouchable, feared, and led by a man who only spoke when necessary, Ryder Cole. Ava stumbles into their path, clutching the envelope. The gang halts, headlights illuminating her soaked figure. Ryder steps off his bike, tall, calm, unreadable, and looks her dead in the eye. "Lady, you either lost or suicidal." She's trembling, gasping for air. "They're after me," she whispers. "I didn't steal money. I stole the truth." That catches his attention. Vex and Jax exchange glances. Ryder's gaze lingers on the envelope. Something about this girl, fragile but fierce, makes him pause. Normally, he'd tell her to get lost. But the way she says, "They'll kill me," isn't drama, it's desperation. So he makes a call. "Get her to the bar," he orders. No names, no phones. Now. Inside the gang's safehouse bar, dim lights, neon glow, whiskey scent thick in the air, Ava sits wrapped in a blanket, staring at her trembling hands. Vex boots up his laptop, ready to scan the document. Ryder watches from a distance. But then, the bar lights flicker. A van screeches outside. Jax cocks his pistol. "They found us already." Ryder's jaw tightens. "Move her to the back room. We're not losing this one." Ava's whisper trembles. "If they catch me, they'll burn it all. Not just me. Everyone." Ryder looks at her. "Then you better tell me what's in that envelope, sweetheart. Because whatever it is, it's not just yours anymore." The music swells, and the frame fades to black. "If you were Ryder, would you trust her?" or hand her over before she destroys you too? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do? Sometimes the truth doesn't save you. It only makes you a target. Ava thought the biker bar was her sanctuary. She was wrong. Because when Ryder opened that envelope, the secret inside didn't just belong to her, it belonged to every person in that room. The Iron Serpent safe house was a fortress disguised as chaos, neon lights, poker tables, steel doors, and a dozen men who trusted no one. Now, all eyes were on Ava Johnson, the trembling maid holding a secret too big for her small hands. Ryder leaned against the bar, arms crossed. "Open it," he ordered. Vex, the gang's tech genius, slid the documents from the envelope, his eyes widening. Bank transactions. Shell companies. Photos of politicians shaking hands with crime bosses. And one signature that changed everything. Victor Sterling. Ryder frowned. This the dead billionaire everyone's been talking about? Ava nodded weakly. I worked for his widow. Eleanor Sterling. She said he died of a heart attack, but that's not true. He was silenced. The gang went quiet. Even the jukebox cut out mid-song. Ava continued, her voice shaking but steady. He left this evidence behind. Proof that his company, Sterling Holdings, was a front for illegal weapons trade. He was going to expose them before he died. Ryder clenched his jaw. So why you? Ava's eyes glistened. Because I saw something I wasn't supposed to. And now, she wants me gone. Outside, thunder cracked. The kind of sound that warns trouble is near. Jax moved toward the window. Boss, we got movement. SUVs. Blacked out. Ryder cursed under his breath. They found us. He turned to Ava. You brought hell to our doorstep, sweetheart. Ava swallowed hard. I didn't have anywhere else to go. And for the first time, Ryder saw it, the raw fear behind her eyes wasn't weakness. It was survival. They doused the lights. The gang armed up. Boots hit the floor, metal clicked, and silence filled the air. Through the tinted window, Ryder saw them, men in suits, armed, surrounding the perimeter. Professional. Clean. Government-level clean. Vex whispered, those aren't thugs. Those are corporate security. Ryder growled, Eleanor's sending professionals now. Bullets shattered the front windows before he finished the sentence. A firefight erupted, glass, smoke, adrenaline. Ryder pulled Ava down behind the bar as Vex returned fire from the balcony. Stay down, he shouted. Ava clutched the envelope tight, heart pounding. They can't get it. It's proof she. Forget the proof, Ryder barked. Right now, we stay alive. He flipped the table, firing back through the smoke. Vex's laptop sparked as bullets hit near it, and then, amid the chaos, something strange happened. A second file appeared on the screen, one that hadn't been there before. A video file. Titled, Last Testament. Vex yelled, Boss, look at this. Ryder squinted at the screen, and there, in flickering light, appeared the late Victor Sterling himself, recording a message days before his death. If you're watching this, I'm already gone. And if my wife, Eleanor, is still alive, then the world needs to know what she did. Everyone froze. Ava's trembling stopped. Victor continued. There's a USB drive hidden in the Sterling mansion. Inside my study. It contains everything. The locations, the payments, the names. Protect it. Or this city burns. The screen went black. And for a second, no one breathed. Ryder turned to Ava, his voice low and rough. You said you found the envelope. But it looks like there's something even bigger. Ava's voice cracked. The USB. I didn't know. He cut her off. You do now. Vex slammed the laptop shut. We can't stay here. They'll level this place in 5 minutes. Ryder holstered his gun and turned toward the back exit. Pack up. We move at dawn. As the gang slipped out through the alley under the drizzle, Ava glanced back at the smoking bar, her only sanctuary now in ruins. For the first time, she realized the truth wasn't just deadly, it was contagious. Ryder caught her staring and said quietly, "You just started a war, sweetheart. Question is, are you ready to finish it? If you found evidence this powerful, would you run, or fight? Comment your answer below, what would you do? Don't miss what happens next, the widow's not done yet. Subscribe now to the Billionaire's Enclave and stay locked in. The real hunt begins. Power doesn't scream, it whispers, and then it kills. Somewhere in a penthouse high above the city, a widow in black silk watches a burning biker bar on her tablet screen, and smiles. Eleanor Sterling has just declared war. And this time, she's not playing defense. The city glittered below Eleanor Sterling like a trophy. She stood barefoot by the window, sipping wine as flames reflected in her eyes. Behind her, the news replayed the footage, unknown gang hideout destroyed in early morning raid. She whispered, "That's one mess cleaned up." Then turned to the man in the shadows, Richard Hale, her late husband's lawyer and her current enforcer. Richard adjusted his cufflinks, smirking. "You do realize that bar was owned by the Iron Serpents? They're not exactly forgiving." Eleanor replied, "Neither am I." Richard circled her like a shark. "Word is, the maid survived. Ava Johnson. She's with the bikers now." Eleanor's lips curved. "Perfect. They'll do my dirty work for me." She poured another glass and handed it to him. "Let them chase ghosts. Meanwhile, we move the real asset." Richard frowned. "The USB?" She nodded. "It's not in the mansion anymore. It's been relocated. Safely." He studied her face. "You sure you trust anyone else with it?" Her smile turned sharp. "Trust is for the poor." Meanwhile, across town, Ryder and the Serpents regrouped in an abandoned auto shop. Ava sat on the floor, bruised but alive, watching the rain through broken glass. Ryder handed her a steaming mug of coffee. "She's not stopping until you're gone." Ava whispered, "Then I'll stop her first." For a moment, Ryder saw something new in her eyes, not fear, but defiance. Vex, typing furiously on his laptop, looked up. "Boss, we've got a ping. Sterling Holdings made a transfer, offshore account, Cayman Islands." Ryder asked, "Can you trace it?" Vex grinned. "Already did. And you're gonna love this, the lawyer's name is all over it. Richard Hale." Ryder exhaled slowly. "Looks like the widow's snake has 2 heads." Back in the penthouse, Eleanor stood before a portrait of her late husband. "You always underestimated me, Victor," she murmured. "Now your little maid is going to die for your mistakes." She turned to her assistant. "Send the footage to the press. Paint the bikers as criminals harboring a fugitive. Let the world think they killed Victor." The assistant hesitated. "Ma'am, that could." "Do it," Eleanor snapped. "And tell Richard to prepare the decoy USB. If they want a fight, we'll give them one." Later that night, Richard Hale sat alone in his penthouse office, staring at his reflection in the dark window. The decoy USB sat on the desk beside his scotch glass. He whispered, almost to himself, "You really think you're smarter than everyone, Eleanor?" His phone buzzed, a text from Detective Marlowe. "We need to talk. Sterling's death wasn't natural." Richard smirked. "And the plot thickens." By morning, chaos had erupted online. Every major network flashed the headline. Biker gang linked to CEO's death. Runaway maid at center of murder scandal. At the safe house, Luna, the Serpent's lookout, burst through the door. "Boss. They're calling you murderers. Ryder slammed his fist on the table. That which flipped the story. Ava's face paled. They think we killed him. Ryder nodded. She's framing us, and she's winning. Vex stormed in, laptop in hand. I found something. The video feed she leaked came from a secure private server. Meaning only 2 people had access, the widow, and her lawyer. Ava clenched her fists. Then we exposed them. All of them. Ryder gave her a hard look. You talk like someone ready to die. She met his gaze. Maybe I'm just done running. Later that night. Eleanor dined with Richard at a candlelit table, the picture of poise and luxury. But beneath the table, her phone buzzed again, a new message. A single image. Her private vault door, open. She froze. Richard raised a brow. Something wrong. Her glass trembled slightly as she whispered, they found it. He leaned forward, smirking. Then maybe it's time they see what's inside. Outside, across the street, the iron serpents watched through binoculars from a van. Vex whispered, signals strong, they're panicking. Ryder loaded his weapon. Good. Panic makes people sloppy. Ava clutched the USB drive she'd stolen from Eleanor's safe, unsure if it was real or fake. But one thought pulsed in her head like thunder. If this was the wrong one, she'd just declared open war on the most dangerous widow in the city. If you were Ava, would you risk your life to expose the truth, or walk away forever? Drop your answer below. What would you do if your survival meant letting evil win? The battle's just begun, and the widow's claws are out. Subscribe now to the Billionaire's Enclave to see how far power and fear can. There are promises you whisper to yourself in the dark, and then there are vows written in blood. The night was still smoking from Eleanor's strike. The iron serpents had lost brothers. The city called them killers. But deep inside the cracked safe house, a new fire was born. Rain tapped the tin roof like war drums. Ryder stood in the center of the room, leather jacket torn, fists bloody, eyes hollow. Around him, his crew watched in silence as Ava laid out the stolen USB on the table. The room felt different now. No more running. No more fear. Just resolve. Ryder's voice broke the silence. She burned our home. Took our names. Killed our people. From this day on, we stop being hunted. He pointed toward the city skyline. From this day on, we hunt her. The gang erupted, a roar of vengeance shaking the dust from the rafters. But Ava didn't cheer. She stared at the flickering screen where Vex decrypted the drive. A maze of files opened, company names, hidden accounts, blackmail videos. And one folder named Sterling Legacy. She clicked it. The screen froze, then loaded a video of Victor Sterling, recorded weeks before his death. If you're watching this, he said, then my death wasn't an accident. The empire's rotting from within. The one person I trust to fix it, is the one everyone ignores. Ava's throat tightened. He was looking straight into the camera, straight at her. Ryder leaned closer. What is this? Ava whispered, he's talking about me. Meanwhile, in the penthouse. Eleanor hurled a vase across the room, shattering glass like gunfire. The maid has my drive, she screamed. Richard stood calmly by the bar, pouring whiskey. Apparently so. But maybe, that's a good thing. Eleanor spun toward him. Explain. Richard smirked. If she has the real drive, she'll expose everything, including your role in Victor's death. That means she'll have to come to us. And when she does. He raised his glass. We end her. Eleanor's lips curled. Then let's make sure she knows where to find us. Back at the safe house, Ava scrolled deeper. Inside another folder, she found blueprints, secret properties, coded bank routes, hidden safe houses all under Victor's name. Ryder peered over her shoulder. Looks like he was building something. Ava nodded. No, protecting something. Vex, squinting at the screen, muttered, Boss, one of these addresses is still active. A storage facility downtown. Ryder grabbed his jacket. Then that's where we start. Luna protested. It's too obvious. Could be a trap. Ryder turned to Ava. You still trust your old boss? She met his gaze, eyes steady. No. But I trust the truth. Hours later, the serpents rolled through the wet streets, engines growling like thunder, neon lights glinting off chrome. Inside the lead van, Ava sat beside Ryder, clutching the flash drive. Her voice trembled. He trusted me with this, and I didn't even know. Ryder glanced at her. You didn't choose this life, sweetheart. But you can choose what you do next. For a second, she saw past the biker's scars, saw the soldier he used to be. And something inside her shifted. They reached the storage facility, a massive underground vault surrounded by silence. Vex bypassed the lock, and the door creaked open. Inside, rows of sealed crates stretched into the darkness. Ava opened one, gasping. Inside were files, evidence, and photos, names of CEOs, judges, politicians, all bribed by Eleanor and Richard. Ryder stared in disbelief. He wasn't protecting money, he was protecting justice. Before Ava could respond, a red laser dot glided across her chest. Down! Ryder shouted, dragging her behind a crate as bullets shattered the silence. Automatic fire lit up the room. Shadows moved, Eleanor's private security had arrived. The bikers returned fire. Sparks flew. Ava crawled toward the crates, grabbing the drive. She looked up, saw Eleanor herself at the upper railing, dressed in black, watching like a viper. Their eyes met. No words. Just war. The gunfire stopped as quickly as it began. Eleanor's men retreated, leaving only smoke and silence. Ava clutched the flash drive, trembling. She's not going to stop. Ryder wiped blood from his cheek, jaw set. Neither am I. He stood over the wreckage, voice low but deadly. You want war, lady? Then war it is. And I swear. I'll burn your empire to the ground. If you were Ryder, would you protect the woman who brought chaos into your world, or walk away before it destroys you too? Tell me in the comments, how far would you go for loyalty? The vow has been made, and war is on the horizon. Subscribe now to the Billionaire's Enclave. The Widow's Hunt is where everything starts to burn. You ever feel that moment when the air itself goes quiet, like the world's holding its breath before something terrible happens? That's exactly how it felt the night Eleanor began her hunt. For days, she'd been silent, no public statements, no sightings, nothing. But behind the veil of grief and her expensive black dresses, the widow was plotting. She wasn't just angry that Ava Johnson, a maid, had escaped with something she shouldn't have seen, she was insulted. In her world, power wasn't just about money, it was about control. And now, she'd lost both. Eleanor sat in her marble study, sipping wine as Richard Hale, her lawyer, entered. His face looked worn. He'd warned her that sending men after Ava had only drawn more attention, especially after the bikers got involved. But Eleanor didn't care. She leaned forward, voice smooth as glass. Then we don't send men, she said. We send ghosts. Cut to the outskirts of town, Ryder Kane and the Iron Serpents were on high alert. Ava hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw headlights in the dark. Ryder kept a gun close and Blaze monitored the old warehouse cameras like a hawk. But the real tension wasn't outside, it was between them. Ryder wasn't just protecting her anymore, he was starting to care. Late that night, Ava found him sitting beside his bike, the rain dripping down his leather jacket. His jaw clenched, eyes staring into nothing. She walked up quietly. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "Yeah, I do," Ryder replied. "They made it my fight the moment they touched you." That's when the trap began. Across town, Detective Marlowe was piecing together new evidence. The envelope Ava found. It contained not just financial records, but murder evidence. It tied Eleanor's late husband's death to a secret offshore deal involving Richard Hale and Marcus Steele, a rival businessman. But before Marlowe could warn Ryder, Eleanor moved first. She had a man inside the biker gang. A traitor. It started small, a missing weapon, then a bugged phone. Then, one night, as Ryder and Blaze were checking security footage, the safe house lights went dark. A sniper's red dot flashed across the wall. "Down!" Ryder yelled, pulling Ava behind a steel cabinet. Bullets tore through the glass, shredding the silence. Blaze fired back. Sparks flew. The gang's engines roared to life outside as chaos erupted. When the smoke cleared, one of Ryder's men was gone, and in his place, taped to the wall, was a blood-stained photo of Ava. Written across it. "You should have stayed in your place." Ryder knew it then, this wasn't just business. This was personal. Meanwhile, Eleanor stood before a window of her penthouse, lightning flashing over her face. She smiled as her phone rang. "Is it done?" she asked. "Not yet," came the voice of the assassin. "Then finish it," she said coldly. But what Eleanor didn't know, was that Richard Hale had grown a conscience. He had followed the money trail himself and discovered something horrifying. Victor Blackwood, Eleanor's late husband, had left a second will. And it didn't name her. It named Ava. Suddenly, the stakes changed. Eleanor wasn't just silencing a maid. She was trying to erase the true heir. Back at the safe house, Ava sat trembling as Marlowe arrived. His voice was grave. "You were never just a maid," he said. "You were the last person Victor trusted. He signed the papers before he died." Ryder turned to Ava, stunned. "You mean, she owns the whole empire?" Marlowe nodded. "If she lives long enough to prove it." That's when Ryder made his vow. He walked over to his gang, dripping blood, rage, and resolve. "Nobody touches her. Not the widow, not her killers, not the dam system. From now on, anyone coming for Ava answers to me." The bikers roared in agreement, thunder rolling as they prepared for war. Ava looked at Ryder, eyes wet. "Why are you doing this?" He smirked, loading his weapon. "Because sometimes, monsters protect angels too." The camera pans out as their engines rev, the night glowing with headlights and vengeance. Eleanor's hunt has begun, but she's not the only predator now. Because when the hunted learn to fight back, the hunters start running. If you discovered the secret that could make you powerful, but also hunted, would you expose it, or burn it forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. They say betrayal never comes from your enemies, it comes from those who smile beside you. And for Ava Johnson and the Iron Serpents, that saying was about to bleed truth. After the sniper attack, tension wrapped around the gang like smoke. Every whisper, every glance felt dangerous. Ryder didn't trust anyone. Even the sound of boots on the concrete made his finger twitch near his gun. Ava sat in the corner of the safe house, clutching the will, the paper that turned her from maid to target. Her hands trembled. Not just from fear, but from guilt. She looked around, these men were risking their lives for her, a stranger. A maid who accidentally opened a door she wasn't supposed to. Meanwhile, Ryder was pacing. His leather boots echoed off the cracked floor. "Someone gave away our location," he growled. "That sniper didn't just get lucky." Blaze glanced at the monitors. "You think it's one of us?" Ryder's silence was the answer. That night, the storm outside raged louder. And in the shadows, Eleanor Sterling smiled. She was watching everything through a grainy live feed, courtesy of her inside man. Good, she whispered. Let them tear each other apart. Her new move was simple: divide them, break their trust, and let them self-destruct. But this wasn't just revenge anymore. Eleanor wanted spectacle. She leaked the first headline. Former billionaires Maid caught in criminal biker ring. The media devoured it. Ava's face, once hidden in the background, was now everywhere. When Ryder saw the news, he smashed the TV. Someone's feeding her, he yelled. We've got a rat. And that's when it happened. Marlowe, the detective, arrived with grim eyes. You've got a leak, he said. And I think I know who. He pointed to Blaze, Ryder's right-hand man. The room went silent. Blaze stood frozen. You serious, Marlowe? Ryder asked, his voice cracking with disbelief. Check his phone, Marlowe replied. Ryder snatched it, and there it was. A hidden message thread. Anonymous payments. GPS data. Betrayal. Blaze's face twisted in panic. It's not what it looks like. But Ryder's fist landed before he could finish. Ava jumped up, screaming, Stop. Please. Blood hit the floor. He sold us out. Ryder roared. He did it for his brother, Marlowe said quietly. Eleanor had him kidnapped. The truth cut deeper than the betrayal. Blaze fell to his knees. I had no choice, he cried. Ava's voice broke. She's turning us against each other. Ryder looked down, breathing hard. Then, he walked away. We move out. Now. Before she finishes the job. Cut to Eleanor's penthouse. She stood over a city of lights, phone in hand. Blaze is out, she said coolly. Good, replied Richard Hale. Now it's time for phase 2, she added, her smile thin. Burn them out of their holes. The next morning, the Iron Serpent's garage went up in flames. Engines, weapons, gone. It wasn't just a warning. It was war. Ryder's eyes burned with fury. She wants a fight, he said. We'll give her one. Ava stepped forward, voice trembling but firm. No, Ryder. We don't fight her power with more violence. We fight with truth. She held up the will, now sealed in a clear folder. This is our weapon. Ryder stared at her, torn between rage and respect. Then you better hope the world listens. Because now, the widow was hunting with fire. And the maid was ready to fight back with justice. If you discovered your best friend had betrayed you, but only to save someone they loved, would you forgive them, or walk away forever? Let's talk in the comments. They thought they'd escaped her reach. But Eleanor Sterling didn't just play the game, she owned it. The night after the explosion, Ava Johnson and the Iron Serpents lay low in an abandoned motel outside the city. The rain hadn't stopped for hours. The air smelled of oil, fear, and betrayal. Ryder sat at the edge of the bed, cigarette smoke curling through the dim light. His voice broke the silence. We lost our base. We lost our trust. What else is she coming for? Ava looked up from the envelope. Her eyes were tired, but sharper than before. Everything, she said softly. She's not after revenge. She's after control. But Eleanor, she was already ahead. She had hired an army of mercenaries and hackers. Her plan was not just to find Ava, but to erase her completely. Across the city, her voice echoed through her private office. If the world won't believe me, she said, then I'll make them see what I want them to see. On the giant screen behind her flickered footage, deepfake images of Ava and Ryder robbing a bank, fake crime records, digital fingerprints. A total setup. The headline hit by morning. Maid turned heir and biker gang wanted for organized crime. Ava's heart dropped when she saw it. They've turned us into criminals, she whispered. Marlowe, the detective, frowned. No, she's building a noose. Meanwhile, the serpent's phone started pinging, their faces on every news outlet, police scanners lighting up with their names. Ryder slammed his fist into the wall. She wants to flush us out. And that's when the motel lights flickered. Power outage. Then, footsteps. Move! Ryder shouted. The gang grabbed their weapons, bursting out the back door just as bullets tore through the room. The night exploded into chaos, sparks, glass, gunfire. Ava stumbled into the alley, clutching the wheel. Ryder grabbed her hand, pulling her behind cover. Stay down. The mercenaries closed in fast, black vans, flashing scopes, every move calculated. It was Eleanor's design, her trap. And as Ryder aimed, something strange caught his eye. One of the attackers wasn't shooting. He was dropping a device near the gas pipes. Ryder's instinct screamed. It's not an arrest, he muttered. It's a burn. Ava turned, terrified. What do you mean? She's gonna blow the place. Ryder kicked open a metal gate, shoving her through as the explosion tore through the motel. Flames painted the sky orange. They barely made it out alive. Ava coughed in the dirt, trembling, while Ryder stood over her, his jacket singed, face grim. That woman's insane, Blaze muttered. No, Ava said, her voice cold now. She's desperate. Eleanor watched the explosion from her penthouse window, sipping champagne. The glow reflected in her eyes like fire in hell. It's done, she said to Richard Hale beside her. No witnesses. No problems. But Richard hesitated. You've gone too far, Eleanor. If this comes out. If, she cut in. You think I'm not ready for that? I built this empire from his lies. I'll burn it before I let a maid take it. Back in the wreckage, Ryder turned to Marlowe. We need to disappear. Marlowe nodded. Not yet. There's a place she can't touch, an off-grid cabin my old unit used. But we'll need to move before dawn. Ava looked out at the flames, at everything they'd lost. She didn't cry this time. Her fear had hardened into something new. She wants me scared, Ava said quietly. Then she'll see what happens when I'm not. And in that moment, the maid stopped running. If someone framed you for a crime you didn't commit, and you had no proof of your innocence, would you hide forever, or fight back no matter the cost? Don't miss the next act, the bikers' war. Ava's done running. Ryder's done hiding. Now they're coming for the widow. Subscribe to The Billionaire's Enclave for more gripping stories like this. The storm had passed, but the silence that followed was worse. Smoke curled from the wreckage of what was once their safe house. The motel was gone, Ryder's men were gone, and so was the illusion that they could hide. Now, it was war. Ryder stood beside his black Harley, his leather jacket ripped, his face streaked with soot. His voice, low and steady, carried through the wind. She wanted a war. She's got one. Behind him, Ava stood clutching the charred remains of a folder, Victor Sterling's sealed envelope. Inside, she'd found coordinates, offshore accounts, and something darker, a list of names. Men bought, bribed, and buried under Eleanor Blackwood's empire. Detective Marlowe joined them that night. You think she'll stop now? He asked. She's already framing you for the explosion. Ryder smirked. Then we make her believe the dead are coming for her. They called it the bikers' war. Not a fight with guns, but a battle of secrets, blackmail, and revelation. One by one, Ryder's scattered allies answered his call, outlaws with debts, grudges, and loyalty that couldn't be bought. Ava, once the terrified maid, was now the center of their cause. She didn't just want survival anymore, she wanted truth. Standing under the neon haze of a forgotten city bar, she said, Victor left this for me, not to inherit, but to expose. By morning, the streets would tremble. Eleanor's hidden accounts would surface, her allies would panic, and the name Ava Sterling would echo across the underground. But with every move, the widow's eyes grew sharper. From her glass penthouse, Eleanor whispered into the phone, "They think they can burn me down. Let them try. I've already set the next trap." And just like that, the war that began with fear, turned into vengeance. If you found the power to destroy the person who once tried to ruin you, would you use it? Eleanor Sterling had always been untouchable. The kind of woman who smiled at destruction, as long as it wasn't hers. But tonight, everything she built was collapsing like glass under her heels. Her private jet was grounded. Her accounts were frozen. And every news channel whispered the same headline. Widow of Victor Sterling under investigation. The war that Ryder and Ava began had gone public. Leaked files. Audio recordings. A video, of Eleanor bribing officials, signing off assassinations, laundering Victor's stolen money. Every secret she buried now screamed her name. But Eleanor wasn't done yet. Not the woman who outlived titans. From her penthouse, she stared at herself in the mirror, lipstick smudged, eyes blazing. "If I fall," she hissed, "I'm taking them with me." Meanwhile, in an abandoned biker warehouse, Ava sat across from Ryder and Detective Marlowe. The final file lay open on the table, Eleanor's confession letter. Not written by her, but by Victor himself, months before his death. It read, "If you're reading this, the woman I loved has become my greatest enemy. The maid who stayed loyal, she's the one who deserves my empire." Ava's hands trembled. For the first time, she realized Victor knew everything. He had chosen her long before the chaos began. Ryder placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't just survive this," he said. "You end it." When Eleanor's door burst open an hour later, the police weren't the first to enter, Ava was. The widow froze. "You," she spat. "Yes," Ava whispered. "The maid you tried to erase." Their eyes locked, power meeting pain. Eleanor lunged for her desk, but Marlowe stepped in, badge flashing. "It's over, Mrs. Sterling." As the handcuffs clicked, Eleanor's diamond earrings caught the light, blinding, almost defiant. She didn't scream. She just smirked. "You think you've won, Maid? You have no idea what you've inherited." Her words hung heavy. Because behind victory, always comes a cost. If you had to choose, justice or peace, which would you take when revenge finally knocks? Subscribe to the Billionaire's Enclave, where every secret, betrayal, and rise to power unfolds like this one. The morning after Eleanor Blackwood's arrest, the world awoke to headlines that felt like fiction. The maid who brought down a billionaire empire. Cameras flashed outside Sterling Tower as Ava Reyes, once invisible, once a maid with trembling hands, now walked through the same glass doors she used to polish. But this time, she wasn't cleaning. She was leading. Inside, board members murmured as she stepped into the conference room in a sleek black dress. Detective Marlowe stood by her side for protection. Ryder, scarred, loyal, still wearing his leather jacket, lingered at the doorway, silently proud. Charles Donovan, the interim chairman, cleared his throat. "Miss Reyes, by Victor Sterling's final directive and the court's ruling, the company is now yours." Ava nodded, no triumph, no gloating. Just quiet strength. "Then it's time to rebuild. Not as an empire of fear, but of fairness." For a moment, silence. Then, one by one, they stood, in respect. Meanwhile, in a gray prison cell, Eleanor stared at a single photo, Victor and her in happier days. "You gave it all to her," she whispered. Her reflection in the metal sink looked older, colder. "And still. I can't hate you." Outside, the world moved on. In the desert, the biker gang, Ryder's crew, revved their engines for one last ride. Ava stood beside him, holding a small silver envelope. Inside, Victor's last gift, the deed to the orphanage she grew up in. Tears blurred her eyes. He wanted me to remember where I came from. Ryder smirked. And now the world will remember where you rose to. As the bikes roared into the distance, the sun rose behind them, golden, endless. For the first time, Ava smiled without fear. The maid who once begged for help now stood as the woman who won it all. Do you believe power changes people, or only reveals who they truly were all along? If this story gave you chills, subscribe to the Billionaire's Enclave, where love, betrayal, and redemption collide in every new saga. In the end, empires fall, but secrets never die. Ava thought she'd won, but in the Billionaire's Enclave, victory always comes with a cost. Another story waits just beyond the shadows, another will, another betrayal, another rise to power. Speech balloon. If this story gripped you, subscribe to the Billionaire's Enclave, share it with someone who loves mystery and emotion, and join us again. Because the next secret could change everything.